This is Josh Friedman in Dresden, Germany. I'm standing in the heart of Dresden outside the Kempinski Hotel, where this weekend the mysterious Bilderberg group is meeting. The Bilderberg group consists of businessmen and dignitaries, primarily from Western Europe and North America. There are people inside this hotel right now as powerful as Google's chief Eric Schmidt and Henry Kissinger, the former US Secretary of State. David Rockefeller was long a key member in the Bilderberg group. Right now, there are about 120 people attending this conference and meeting inside the Kempinski Hotel behind me. The group consists of a steering committee and some others who are very influential, and then each year they invite many politicians and big businessmen to attend the conference. This year there are a couple prime ministers in there. There are many ministers from Europe. US Senator Lindsey Graham is in there. Criticism of the Bilderberg group ranges from people saying that the Bilderberg group is rife with political lobbying to people saying that the Bilderberg group is plotting an authoritarian world government. It's hard to know what all is actually going on inside there because, as you can see, it's very secretive. A fence has been erected surrounding the Kempinski Hotel here in Dresden. The public is not allowed in. Journalists have no access to the conference, with the exception of the select few journalists and media executives who are actually invited to the conference. This year, NBC foreign correspondent Richard Engels is in there, but press who attend are not allowed to report on the conference. Everyone who attends must swear to basically secrecy. They're not allowed to talk about what happens in there once they go back out into the public. Many reporters are trying to conduct interviews with attendees. It's very difficult to do so. They usually don't want to talk at all, let alone speak about the Bilderberg conference. Bilderberg says that it's not secretive, but rather a private organization. Bilderberg Group says that it needs to maintain privacy so that its participants can have frank discussions about geopolitics. Many of the journalists and protesters say that that's basically a load of bull, that they're just trying to cover up for what they're doing, but the Bilderberg group remains mysterious because we really don't know what's going on inside there. A few years ago, Bilderberg started releasing agendas and participants lists. This year's agenda contains very ambiguous topics. It says on the agenda that they'll be discussing China, that they'll be discussing current events, that they'll be discussing Russia. When they mention the topic about Europe, they go into a little more depth. They talk about migration, a couple issues, but you really have no idea what's going on. Many people on the outside say that they're discussing the Brexit, the referendum that's coming up in about 10 days or 2 weeks in the UK. Brits will be voting on whether they want to stay in the EU or leave the EU. A lot of critics of Bilderberg allege that the Bilderberg group actually came up with the idea of the European Union, that the EU is the brainchild of Bilderberg, and there's some documents suggesting that, although there isn't a whole lot of hard evidence proving that. There, as you can see, is quite a sizable police presence here. There have been people arrested already. There are very strict rules that Dresden has put in place limiting protesting. You're not allowed to stand with signs in groups of 3 or more people out here. There have been a few people arrested on this block that you see, which is right in the heart of Dresden. The press corps is lined up outside the hotel and on a balcony overlooking the Kempinski. And as the participants come and go, people photograph them. Most of the Bilderbergers do not want to be photographed. Some of them, primarily the politicians, have actually been coming in around the back in order to hide their faces. Almost everyone shows up in a black Mercedes, and very few of them will even acknowledge the press who are standing outside. Some members of the press have been asking for there to be a press conference, but there is very little indication that's going to happen. For now, the Bilderberg group remains very mysterious. It remains very secretive. I will be doing my best to try to interview some of the attendees. I will post whatever footage I get, and then I will also be speaking with journalists who have been covering the conference for many years to get their take on what they think is going on inside. Stay tuned, there will be many more reports from Dresden. Goodbye.